Please, not 0. No.
You missed one paycheck. Just one. And now you are choosing between keeping the lights on or feeding your kids tonight. Not because you are lazy. Not because you made bad choices. Not because you do not work hard enough. You work 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. You do everything right. And you are still one unexpected car repair, one medical bill, one missed paycheck away from complete financial collapse. This is not a warning about the future. This is not a cautionary tale. This is your life right now. And if it is not your life, it is your neighbor's life, your coworker's life, your family member's life. 66% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Not 66% of poor Americans. 66% of all Americans. That includes people making 6 figures. That includes families with 2 incomes. That includes people who did everything society told them to do. College degree, good job, responsible decisions, and they are still one paycheck away from disaster. The rent is due in 3 days. The car payment is overdue. The credit card is maxed out. The savings account has $47 in it. And you just woke up feeling sick. Do you call into work and risk losing the paycheck? Or do you go to work sick and hope you do not get worse? This is the calculation millions of Americans are making every single morning. Not in 1929. Not in some dystopian future. Right now. In 2026. In the richest country in human history. Something is deeply, fundamentally broken. And this video is going to show you exactly what it is. Let us start with the numbers because they are genuinely shocking. 66% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That is 2 out of every 3 people you pass on the street. 2 out of every 3 coworkers sitting in your office. 2 out of every 3 families in your neighborhood. This is not a small problem affecting people at the margins. This is the dominant economic reality for the majority of the country. But here is what makes it even more disturbing. This includes 45% of people earning $100,000 per year or more. Let that sink in. People making 6 figures. People who would have been considered wealthy just a generation ago. Nearly half of them cannot handle an unexpected expense without going into debt or missing other payments. If you are making $100,000 a year and you are still living paycheck to paycheck, the problem is not your personal financial decisions. The problem is the system itself. The traditional financial advice does not work anymore. Save more. Spend less. Make a budget. These suggestions assume that people have money left over after covering their basic needs. But when rent takes 40, 50, sometimes 60% of your income before you even pay for food, utilities, transportation, and healthcare, there is nothing left to save. You are not living beyond your means. The means have moved beyond your reach. And this is getting worse, not better. The percentage of Americans living paycheck to paycheck has been climbing steadily for years. Economic recovery? Not for the majority. Stock market at all-time highs? Great news if you own stocks. Most Americans do not. For them, the economy is not recovering. It is actively getting worse every month. Let us talk about the single biggest reason most Americans cannot build any financial cushion. Housing. In 1970, the median home price was roughly twice the median household income. If you made $30,000 a year, you could buy a $60,000 house. The math worked. You could save for a down payment. You could afford the mortgage. You could actually build equity and wealth. Today, the median home price is nearly 8 times the median household income. If you make $60,000 a year, the median home in your area probably costs close to $500,000. The math does not work anymore. You cannot save for a down payment when rent is taking half your income. You cannot build equity when you cannot afford to buy. The primary way Americans built wealth for generations, home ownership, has been essentially removed as an option for an entire generation. But it gets worse. Because you cannot afford to buy, you are forced to rent. And rent is not just expensive. Rent is wealth destruction. Every month you pay rent, you are making your landlord wealthier while you build nothing. You are paying a mortgage. Just not your mortgage. Someone else's. And rent keeps going up. 5% this year. 7% next year. Your salary does not keep up. So every year, you fall further behind. Every year, home ownership becomes more impossible. Every year, the gap between what you need and what you have gets wider. This is not a housing crisis. This is a wealth extraction system. And it is working exactly as designed. Just not for you. Here is a number that explains almost everything. If wages had kept pace with productivity since 1979, the median worker today would be making approximately $25 more per hour than they actually make. Read that again. $25 per hour more. That is an extra $1,000 per week. An extra $50,000 per year. For doing the same work at the same productivity level that the economy is actually generating. Where did that money go? It did not disappear. The economy got more productive. Companies made more profit. The money exists. It just does not go to workers anymore. It goes to executives, to shareholders, to capital. Workers produce more value than ever before in human history. They receive a smaller share of that value than at any point in the last 70 years. This is not an accident. This is policy. This is the result of decades of deliberate decisions that prioritize profit over people. In 1965, the typical CEO made 20 times what their average worker made. Today, 350 times. The money did not vanish from the economy. It simply moved from workers to owners, from labor to capital, from the many to the few. Your productivity went up. Your wages stagnated. Their wealth exploded. And now they tell you that you should budget better. You should make smarter choices. You should work harder. As if the problem is your lack of discipline and not the systematic transfer of wealth from workers to owners that has been happening for 50 years. You are not failing. The system is working exactly as it was redesigned to work. And you are on the wrong side of that design. When your income does not cover your basic expenses, you have two choices. Go without necessities, or go into debt. Most people choose debt, not because they are irresponsible, because they need to eat. They need transportation to get to work. They need a place to live. They need basic medical care. When these things cost more than you earn, debt is not optional. It is survival. Credit card debt in America just hit an all-time high. Over $1 trillion. Interest rates on those cards? 18 to 25%. If you carry a $5,000 balance at 20% interest and only make minimum payments, you will pay over $15,000 in interest alone. You will pay 3 times what you borrowed for the privilege of buying groceries and gas because your paycheck did not stretch far enough. But credit cards are just the beginning. Student loans, car loans, medical debt. Buy now, pay later schemes that let you spread out the cost of basic necessities into installments. Each one seems manageable in isolation. $100 a month here, $50 there. But add them all up and suddenly a significant portion of your paycheck is going just to service debt. Not to pay down the principal. Just to cover the interest. Just to stay current. You are running in place. And falling behind. This is the paycheck to paycheck trap in its purest form. You cannot build savings because all your money is already spoken for before you earn it. You cannot escape debt because you need debt to cover basic expenses. And you cannot reduce expenses because there is nothing left to cut. The system has you locked in. And the harder you work, the deeper in debt you fall. One medical emergency. One hospital visit. One diagnosis. And your financial life can be completely destroyed. Not because you made bad choices. Not because you were reckless. Because you got sick in America. Healthcare costs are the #1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States. The #1 cause. Not poor planning. Not reckless spending. Not laziness. Medical bills. You have insurance. Most people do. But insurance does not protect you anymore. Deductibles are $5,000, $10,000, sometimes $15,000 before insurance pays anything. Co-pays for specialist visits. Co-insurance that makes you pay 20 or 30% of the bill even after you hit your deductible. Out-of-network charges that insurance simply does not cover. You pay premiums every month. Hundreds of dollars. Sometimes over $1,000. And when you actually need care, you still go into debt. A broken bone can cost you thousands of dollars. A cancer diagnosis can cost you hundreds of thousands. Even routine care, the kind of preventive medicine that would keep you healthy and reduce long-term costs, is often too expensive to afford. So you skip it. You ignore symptoms. You hope problems go away on their own. And when they do not, when you finally have to go to the hospital because you have no choice, the problem is worse. The bill is bigger. The damage to your finances is catastrophic. You cannot budget for this. You cannot save for this. A medical emergency wipes out whatever small emergency fund you manage to scrape together. And then it wipes out everything else too. This is not a healthcare system. This is a wealth extraction industry disguised as healthcare. Living paycheck to paycheck is not just a financial condition. It is a psychological prison. The stress of knowing that one unexpected expense will destroy you does not go away when you clock out of work. It follows you home. It keeps you awake at night. It affects your health, your relationships, your ability to think about anything other than survival. Studies show that financial stress impairs cognitive function as much as losing an entire night of sleep. Your brain is constantly running calculations. Can I afford this? What happens if my car breaks down? What if I get sick? What if my kid needs something? Your mental bandwidth, the cognitive resources you have available for thinking, planning, and decision-making, is consumed by financial anxiety. You are not operating at full capacity. Not because you are not smart. Because poverty is exhausting. The shame compounds everything. Because American culture tells you that if you are struggling financially, it is your fault. You did not work hard enough. You did not make smart choices. You should have planned better. Society has convinced millions of people that their economic suffering is a personal moral failure. It is not. When 66% of the population is struggling, that is not a personal failure. That is a systemic problem. But the shame keeps people isolated. It prevents them from talking about their situation, from organizing, from demanding change. If everyone thinks they are failing alone, no one realizes that the system itself is broken. You are not lazy. You are not irresponsible. You are not failing. You are living in an economic system that has been deliberately structured to extract maximum value from your labor while providing minimum compensation. This did not happen by accident. The 66% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck did not materialize out of thin air. This is the result of specific policy decisions made over decades. Decisions that prioritize corporate profit and wealthy interests over the economic security of ordinary people. Understanding this is crucial, because if you think this happened naturally, you will think nothing can be done about it. But if you understand this was created by policy, you can understand it can be changed by policy. Union membership in America used to be over 30% of the workforce. Today, it is around 10%. Unions were the primary mechanism by which workers could negotiate for better wages, benefits, and working conditions. Decades of anti-union legislation, court decisions, and corporate union-busting campaigns systematically destroyed worker power. Without unions, workers negotiate as individuals against massive corporations. The power imbalance is total. Wages stagnate. Benefits disappear. Working conditions deteriorate. And executives get richer. Tax policy shifted dramatically. In 1960, the top marginal tax rate was 91%. Today, it is 37%. Corporate tax rates fell from 52% to 21%. Capital gains, the way wealthy people make most of their money, are taxed at lower rates than labor. The tax burden shifted from the wealthy and corporations onto the middle and working class. The result? Government has less money for programs that help working people. Infrastructure crumbles. Social safety nets weaken. And the wealthy accumulate more. Deregulation of industries, particularly finance and healthcare, removed consumer protections and allowed prices to skyrocket. So where does this go? If 66% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now, what happens in the next economic downturn? What happens when interest rates rise and credit becomes more expensive? What happens when the next wave of automation eliminates more jobs? What happens when the next pandemic, the next natural disaster, the next crisis hits? The answer is simple and terrifying. Millions of people will have no cushion, no savings, no ability to absorb even a small shock. The economic collapse will not be gradual. It will be immediate and catastrophic. This is not sustainable. An economy where 2/3 of the population is one emergency away from financial disaster cannot function long-term. Consumer spending drives 70% of the American economy. If people cannot spend because all their money goes to rent, debt payments, and basic survival, the economy contracts. Businesses lose customers. They lay off workers. more people fall into paycheck to paycheck living. The cycle accelerates. This is not a prediction. This is economics. And the trajectory is clear. But it does not have to be this way. The same policy decisions that created this problem can be reversed. Wages can be raised. Housing can be made affordable. Healthcare can be fixed. Debt can be addressed. These are not unsolvable problems. They are political choices. The question is not whether solutions exist. The question is whether there is the political will to implement them. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, you are not alone. You are not failing. You are part of a majority of Americans trapped in a system designed to extract wealth from you. Understanding that is the first step. Demanding change is the second. What happens next depends on whether